So much of what we want in life seems out of reach. For most people, it's a financial burden, a financial struggle. We want to have the nice things in life: a nice house, a nice car, a nice family. And that struggle to make ends meet and attain the things that we believe make up a life worth living, they pressure us to go out and borrow money, to use credit cards or other loans to fund the lifestyle that we believe we should have, or that we believe we need in order to be happy. And then, after years of this kind of borrowing, living on a borrowed lifestyle, we realize that we're no happier. And at the same time, we're saddled with debt, and the interest payments keep growing. And at the same time, we feel pressure to keep up with the lifestyle that we've chosen, the standard of living that we've created for ourselves. Like as if we can't be happy if we lived on less. In Shakespeare's play Hamlet, there's a wise man who gives advice to his son. And he says, "Neither a borrower nor a lender be." Don't be a borrower and don't be a lender. If only we would be in a position to have to worry about lending money. But even if a friend asks you to lend him a little bit of money, Shakespeare's advice is don't be a lender. For loan oft loses both itself and friend. When you lend money and the friend has trouble or difficulty paying it back, you lose both the money that you loaned and the friend that you loaned it to. So if you're going to loan money to a friend, consider it a gift. Don't ever expect it back. If they pay you back, great. But if you decide to loan them money, you should not expect it back. Or if you do, you might lose both the loan and your friend. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. For a loan oft loses both itself and friend. And borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry. This is the part that's more applicable to what we're talking about, which is borrowing. Shakespeare says that borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry, meaning that when you can borrow seemingly endless amounts of money, you reduce your sharpness in business and negotiation. You feel like you could just borrow your way out of any hole. So why do you need to work so hard? You rest on your laurels, living off of the borrowed money. So if we want to be productive, if we want to be prosperous and improve our lot in life, Shakespeare recommends against borrowing. Borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry. Husbandry is literally raising animals, having a farm. But in the modern context, it would be any kind of work. Rather than working harder to achieve what you want, to make the money that you need, you yield to borrowing, which is a weakness. It's a human weakness to take a loan rather than to save up and work for something. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a mortgage to buy a house or take a loan to start a business. But you need to have that warning in the back of your mind that you cannot rest on your laurels. That taking a loan inherently opens you up to that weakness of possibly relaxing and not doing everything you need to achieve your goals. Don't let borrowing become a salve, a balm that lulls you to sleep, that ruins your productivity, that makes you relax. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Don't be a borrower or a lender. For loan oft loses both itself and friend. You lose the money and the friendship when you lend money. And borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry. It makes you weak as a productive member of society. You start to relax and just live off of the money that you borrowed, assuming that you'll be able to borrow more if you need to. So don't let yourself fall into this trap of borrowing and relaxing your efforts. You need to be very measured, very cautious if you're going to borrow money for the sake of improving your life. Because usually, very often, it backfires. Your business ends up not doing so well. You struggle to pay back the loan. You borrow money for a house, you take out a mortgage, and then several years down the line, maybe you lose your job and you're not able to cover the mortgage payments. And you end up in a worse position than when you started. So we should take this caution of Shakespeare to heart. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend. and borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry. So how do you do this? What's the practical method for not having to borrow money to live your life? And that is another piece of Shakespeare's advice just before he gave this advice. He says, the way you dress should be rich, not gaudy. The way you live your life should be rich, meaning whatever you can afford. You can buy the best with whatever you can afford without borrowing. But not gaudy. Don't go overboard in a way that raises your standard of living beyond your own means. In other words, Shakespeare was saying that we should live within our means. We should have a rich life. We should have everything that we can afford without borrowing. But we should not live a gaudy life, meaning buy things that are ostentatious, beyond our means. If you live a life that is rich but not gaudy, then you'll have no trouble following Shakespeare's advice to not be a borrower or a lender.